How's it going, everybody? My name is Kaz. Welcome back to DDLC Plus. All right, we're almost done with the side stories. We got 2 more here and then we're done. I finally went through like all the different endings and whatnot, so now I just got to go through these side stories and then I can just dive into the secrets. All right, but today we're gonna go through reflection. We got Yuri, we got Monika. I don't know what it's gonna be about, but let's hope that it's nice. And I don't know. Okay, am I bothering you? No. Okay, just checking. It's hard to tell since you always look so into it when you're reading. Makes me scared to interrupt. Well, it's within my expectations to be interrupted when I read here. It's mainly when I'm by myself that I don't like it. You know what? I feel it. That makes sense. I guess if you're here in the first place, then you're more ready to socialize, even if it takes a little bit of prodding. It's not so bad to be social if I let others do the work, so I can be healthy to put myself in a social environment every now and then. It's mostly difficult when I don't know anyone, or there are too many people, or everyone is being too silly for me to keep up with. You know, I feel that. Yuri glances across the room at Sayori and Natsuki. Sayori has her head cocked back and her mouth open, trying to catch pieces of a cookie that Natsuki is lobbing into the air, but the piece keeps bouncing off her face and hitting the floor. Stop messing around! This is a damn literature club. Maybe I should say something. No need, they just ran out of cookie. What a waste. But what kind of cookie? They've really become good friends, haven't they? I'm happy. Sayori seems particularly good at making that happen. But the two of them are both on the energetic side, so I suppose it works out well. Yeah, come to think of it, you and I haven't had many chances to talk one-on-one, have we? Though that may be partially my fault since I'm supposed to be the one engaging club members. Not at all. I've probably formed the habit of drawing minimal attention to myself. The responsibility is equal on me, at least to display some openness to engage. Well, what about during times like lunch? Do you meet up with friends? I just read. Oh, you know, that reminds me back in middle school, but I don't want to remember those days. It was one of my depressing years. Anyway, but I like it that way. Feels nice to be carried off again after a morning of classes. Do you always read fantasy? Oh, not always. I suppose that's all I've read recently, only because I'm in the middle of this series. Okay, you know what? Compared to back then, now you see all these kids with like iPads and iPhones and Samsung whatever and whatnot. So back in my day, I didn't have any of that. So what I did was I had a book and I would just sort of read, but I was reading the same book. So sometimes I just pretend to read because I've already read through the passage. Man, yeah, I had my moments. I was not happy. There were still 2 more books after this one. I guess as long as books suit you well, so you spend so much time reading. Well, fantasy may be my favorite, but after that, I'm more or less indiscriminate to genres. I'll read anything with depth and maturity. Oh yeah? Even like romance? Well, there are a lot of books that have elements of romance in them. Oh, come on, Yuri. You know what I mean. Monika lowers her voice. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, so I won't tell anyone if you do too. Maybe more when I was in middle school. I mean, I was really lonely and people were mean to me a lot. Man, it kind of felt like, please don't make me think about the past. Yes, oh my god. I could never relate so much to my past like Yuri right now. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I just got super curious. You know, we should totally pick out a romance novel to read. That would be so much fun. Absolutely not. Really? Even if it was just between us? We're asking someone who has no shame, like Natsuki. See, I don't mind romance stuff. It's actually kind of my favorite. It's really like interesting to like read or like watch in an anime or whatever. Like it's one of my favorite genres, but of course I like the typical like action, comedy, adventure, whatnot. Ouch. Sorry, I swear I didn't mean that. Well, I guess it was my fault for pressing you. I'm like that for things in my past too. You know, things I feel too embarrassed to re-experience. There's nothing wrong with growing out of things, it happens to everyone. For instance, Natsuki's interest in manga reminds me quite a bit of how intense I used to be about my own interests. Makes me think that she'll grow out of it too. I thought that for anime, I'm still here. Hey, were you talking about me? No, we were just talking about how our interests have changed over the years. When did you get into manga, Natsuki? Like a couple years ago, I guess. I was already sort of into it before that, but I wasn't really going hard until that was like me with anime. Like back in elementary school, I watched anime every now and then, but it wasn't until middle school I got super into anime, and then, you know, until now I still watch anime every now and then. Not as much as I did back then, but yeah. Oh yeah, What was it that inspired you to get more into it? I don't know, my depression. I guess, let me think. It was after I discovered a series that I really liked. Yeah, I was just like really fed up with a lot of things, and I got super into this one series that I really related to. I guess I had an edgy phase where I just hated everyone around me and wanted to be by myself. Hey, kind of like Yuri. Monika? Sorry, that's completely wrong, so it's so cool that you both really found your thing. They're almost like opposites, but it sounds like you helped you through your tough times. You know it. Well, what the heck? Is that book even bigger than the last one you were reading? That's amazing. It's technically slightly longer, but not by very much. How high do you think it would go if you stacked up the whole series? Aski estimates by holding her hand above her head, sizing up an imaginary stack. I should get one of those mangas that's like 50 volumes long so that I can say I've read more than you. Isn't the JoJo series long? Not that I have the money for that, or not that I have the money for that. Please, that would hardly count when your books only have a few words per page. I know, I was just joking. I can never actually read books like yours. It's too boring for me. Sometimes I doze off in long books, but then sometimes I can get into it. Yuri shoots a glare at Natsuki. It's not boring. Chill, I said for me, not for you. I can have my own opinion. I just think it's too convoluted. I can't read. Sorry, are those from the floor? Gross. Also wash your hands before touching any of my books. But my hands aren't dirty. Just do it. The oils are there even if you can't see them. Fine. Sori trots out the door and Natsuki follows. I'm like that too. If I see like just the tiniest grease, I gotta wash my hands. I have hand sanitizer, God, right in front of me. So in case I ever feel like my hands are like, ooh, you look a little upset. I don't know why, I'm just like that. What kind of nerve does she have to call my hobby boring? Did you not just call her books like a little lame for having like small words compared to like you call them inferior, whatever? Did she not? Well, she did correct herself. Hardly. She was so condescending. I don't mind if she thinks it's not for her. I already understand that it's not for everyone, okay? But she knows well how much these mean to me. So how about just leaving me alone instead of needlessly telling me the things you hate about it? Wait, what? I'm sorry, Yuri. Maybe you're right. This won't be the last time people have strong feelings about what they like and don't like. If it's going over my head, I know Natsuki is not trying to insult her. She's just saying about herself, but then she's somehow feels like she's insulting her. But okay. Especially in a literature club, so I should figure out how to mediate discussions to keep them positive and constructive. For the record, I've always been impressed by the level of creativity in your books, and also your ability to go through them so quickly. How fast, thank you. Okay, well this is something that I'll have to think about and revisit. I'm sure I can help Natsuki find some common ground with you. I thought this would be about Yuri and Natsuki. Common ground isn't necessary, I just wish to be respected. That then, either way, I'll do my best. Doesn't she respect what you read? I'm skeptical when it comes to Natsuki. I trust you, Monika, but I'm skeptical. Maybe I didn't pay too much attention. I'm not sure. Okay, everyone, we have a special club meeting today. As you know, the Literature Club is a place where we can get to share things that we're really passionate about. That also means we should be mindful of how we respond to each other's feelings. I think we have a chance to turn our differences into positive energy for each other. Don't worry, I'm gonna go over this again when I'm editing, so I'll probably understand it by then. Aren't you being a little dramatic about this? This is important to me. Well, sorry, I just feel like I'm being accused or something. No, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm sorry if I came off that way. But our conversation yesterday made me reflect on the power of language, and I thought it would be a good topic for the Literature Club, don't you think? I'm sure we're going to have differences in opinion a lot, so I need to make sure we're prepared to keep a positive atmosphere in the club. What is this, the debate club? If you say so. Sure. The cool thing about language is that it gives us a lot of different ways to express the same idea or emotion. We have a lot of control over how we want the other person to feel when receiving our thought. So very true. This goes for poetry, narratives, casual conversation, basically anything. For example, sorry, what's your favorite food? French fries. I have them organized by category. You have what? Should I start with snacks or do you mean full meals? Should I include breakfast? Okay, never mind. Ask another person. Oh geez. Okay, how about your favorite fruit? That's easy. Cherries. I'm okay with cherries. Interesting. Okay, really? I always thought cherries tasted nasty. I know people that don't like cherries. What? Cherries are delicious. Well, that's a pretty strong reaction. Well, I just don't understand how somebody could think cherries are nasty. Okay, there you go. You're helping her with the topic. How does it make you feel? I don't know. Sad? Defensive, maybe? Yeah, I got defensive. So very true. See, the reason you had such a strong reaction wasn't just because I don't like cherries, it's because you felt like your opinion was under attack. But that's weird, right? Something like taste is completely subjective. But when I say something like, I think cherries taste nasty, I use subjective language. I'm challenging serious reality that cherries are delicious with my own, which is that cherries are nasty. I want to learn about this too. I'm now interested in this conversation. Wait, hold on. How is that objective when you just said it was only your own opinion? It has to do with the way our brains interpret the words. You're talking about the reality of the cherries, not your feelings about them. Like Sayori, let's rewind for a second and pretend I didn't tell you that I think cherries are nasty. Good. So what if instead of that I said like, I've tried cherries and they're not for me. It's not the kind of flavor I enjoy. Well, that's fine. Yeah, it sounds so much better. Wow, the way words just interpreted with different meanings. God damn. As long as you don't call them nasty. Nasty is a nasty word. Okay, so cherries was kind of a weird example, but I think it gets to the point across. This time around, instead of talking about the cherries, I just talked about my feelings, and sorry didn't get defensive. Wow. So instead of clashing with each other, it's like we received an invitation to talk about our differences. See, something so simple that we should like kind of just have in our heads already. The way that words can really change the direction of a conversation. This is something I'm still trying to learn, and you know, I'm a grown adult. I'm still growing, and I'm still learning. So I'm actually like, I'm curious. Yuri, you don't need to take notes. I'm not gonna quiz you or something. I know that. I was just, sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. You can do whatever you like. But does anyone have any thoughts so far? Yeah, I just feel like I shouldn't have to put all my language through a filter just to protect someone's feelings. Yeah, but I guess it just depends on the person. There are people who are more sensitive than others, especially nowadays in our generation. But, well, you don't have to. The choice is yours on how you want to come across to other people. Sorry, should I reword that? No. I'm only suggesting it as a tool to help turn your differences into a positive experience, rather than an argument. Right, Sayori? Whatever you say, cherry hater. Oh, come on. Sorry, I actually like cherries. I was just saying that to help demonstrate. He sounds so offended. It's funny. What the heck? I've been duped. I'm sorry, Sorry. I'll make it up to you later. How about a cherry sundae? Ooh. You're welcome to dupe me anytime, my beloved president. Buying your people's loyalty. How deplorable. Oh, like you would turn down a free sundae, Yuri. You were certainly a fan of those cupcakes I brought in the other. You made the store-bought ones. That was, I was reading and not keeping track of them. Oh, that's enough. We're getting off topic. Now that we have the gist of it, how about we try with something more relatable to the club or relevant? Like manga, right? Let's try to have a productive discussion about our differences in opinion. Yuri, do you want to start? Well, I'd rather not. No, should I try? Should I be part of this conversation? I've tried manga, but it's not really my thing. That's it. Not like, oh, I hate manga. Manga is terrible. Anime is for children. Like, that's worse than it's not my thing. Right? Is that how it goes? Oh, how come? Well, because I don't see how anything productive can come from that. It's just be respectful to the other person, I guess, for, I don't know. I'm just going to start a fight. No, it'll be fine. That's why I'm here to moderate. Let's just have a calm and rational discussion. Yeah, give me a little bit more credit. I'm not a child. You don't have to cuddle my feelings. Anime is for children. Why do you read anime? Anime sucks. I bet you'd be offended by it. I always think it's more respectable to just speak your mind. Respectable? You see, I'm like that. I'd rather have someone speak their mind and like not lie compared to, well, I mean, not lying. Your expression changes that the word. As Monika recalls, being respected with the crux of the matter for Yuri. Well, the point of the exercise is exactly like, it's fine. I have nothing against anyone personally. You're entitled to enjoy whatever it is you like. I just prefer more depth and nuance in my reading material. I look for stories that are imaginative and sophisticated beyond the surface level. Well, that's just a misunderstanding then. I thought you were gonna say that manga's for children or something. Oh no, they're catching on to me. Like I don't hear enough of that. Yeah, I don't hear enough of that either. But there's plenty of deep manga, so yes, I'm not clueless about manga. I've read my own fair share when I was younger. What? Are you serious? How come you never told me? Because I'm past that point in my life, and I really prefer not to revisit. I prefer more mature things now. Excuse me? I knew it. Okay, hold on. Can I jump in here? Yeah, see, you don't... That part was not necessary. Let's try to keep things subjective. Because if you imply that manga is immature, then aren't you implying that someone is immature for being into it? Exactly. Facts. Well, maybe it's immature to judge people for having different tastes than you. No, it's not. Nobody's immature. I've read Natsuki's manga and Yuri's fantasy, and I love them both in their own way. You see, there are certain types of manga. You have the deep shit, and then you have the not so deep shit can be seen as like a child's play type of story or whatever. Like look at Naruto now. They're going in the deep end. Well, I don't know about Boruto, but I mean Shippuden or whatever. I don't know. Okay. It's great that you like it, but I still find it boring. Boring isn't subjective. Okay, it bores me. That's subjective, but I mean, the thing about you just have to choose the right words, okay? Boring, saying someone is boring is pretty mean, so calling something is boring, that's also gonna hurt. It's ridiculous, especially if it's something you love. Do you see why I didn't want to participate in this? I knew it was just going to be people upset. I'm not upset. Like I said, I don't care what other people think. But I always get the impression that you secretly look down upon me. So I'm glad my suspicion were confirmed. That's not true at all. You're making assumptions. You can't blame me for getting defensive when nobody ever has the least bit of respect for the thing that I'm into. Aren't you disrespecting like her interests now? Only thing I look down upon is people who make fun of me for just being myself and trying to mind my own business. What? Have you looked in a mirror? Okay, that was none. Tell me again after respect of calling all my interests immature. Oh, that's what you mean. That's what I was trying to kind of saying too. You can't. Please stop. Please. You don't mean the things you're saying right now. So let's just be friends. So this is how they never got along. I didn't mean for this to happen. Well, it did. So please don't invite yourself to try and solve other people's problems next time, okay? Oh. Yuri's piercing words sends the clubroom into a choked silence as she gathers her things. She leaves. I think right now they just need to cool down. Holy crap. I've never heard her sound like that before. She must be so pissed. Well, you weren't being very nice either. That is also true. I was just saying, how did this happen? It's my fault. Yuri wasn't wrong. I shouldn't have tried to moderate a conflict when I know how bad I am at dealing with conflicts. It was a really stupid thing for me to do. It's nobody's fault, and it wasn't stupid. I feel like you probably shouldn't have started with that sort of topic, especially if it was being argued like either earlier or the day before, because it still like lingers in your mind. So it was kind of like you were going, I feel like you were going on the right track, just not the right moment. Does that make sense? I don't know. It wasn't stupid. Everyone in the club is a nice person. Nobody would have to expect this. But I guess we're sensitive about the things we really love. That's true. Honestly, she kind of brought it up upon herself. Like I said, I don't care if you're not into manga, but if you actually look down on other people for it, that's kind of the point I was trying to make in the first place. It's not about sugarcoating things, it's about just recognizing and understanding our differences, yeah. Okay, but here's the thing about that. Yuri actually looks down on me. It has nothing to do with her word choice or anything like that. So I see what you were trying to do, but I really think the problem here is her, not just like the way we talk to each other, right? I mean, maybe it was Natsuki. It's both. It's never one's fault. It's always both parties at the end. Yuri isn't like that. She's a lot sweeter than you're giving her credit for. I'm sure she'll be reflecting on this. I actually think everyone should. Yeah, it'll be fine. Like, I need to reflect on this. I'll figure something. I'm not even part of this conversation. Well, I'm just saying. I'm like saying this instinctively. I'm just setting myself upon to cause more problems. That wasn't your fault, Monika. You don't have to beat yourself up over it. If you ask me, it's good that the truth finally came out, because I can just move on now, but it's fine, I promise. Let's just get our minds off this, okay? In fact, it's a good opportunity to read some manga without having to worry about feeding Yuri's superiority complex. Don't be mean. Yeah, you're just being mean to Yuri now. I'll talk or read manga or whatever you want, but don't be mean to my friends, okay? Sorry. I'm just bitter. Everything will be okay. Hey, everyone needs to just calm down. I mean, I don't have the answers, but I at least know that we're all good people and don't want to hurt each other. This will be a learning experience, like I'm learning. Monika says this, but her uneasiness is giving away by how much she has to force the reassuring tone in her voice. This is bound to happen eventually. Natsuki and Yuri have always engaged with each other the least out of everyone, and this is the reason. As Yuri and Natsuki proceed to distract themselves with manga, Monika sighs to herself, unable to shake her words or worried thoughts. Will the club really have to just come to terms with the fact that some members will be incapable with each other? Incompatible, I mean. Monika desperately doesn't want to admit that, and she knows Yuri doesn't either. But for once, a solution doesn't seem to be in sight. Man, who knew you could learn from video games? Alright, let's go continue with part 2. and let's see how this direction goes. Will they make up? Will I learn more about these sort of conversations because I feel like I'm pretty bad at it? A new day arrives. Zuri arrives at the club room earlier than usual. That is, not late. As she enters, it appears to be empty still. So she sits down at her desk and pulls out a sheet of paper primed to jot down her thoughts. Zuri has made a habit of scribbling her thoughts and feelings onto paper whenever possible, as it tends to serve as her best inspiration for poetry. My heart feels vacant because a ship sailed away. Yo. Yeah. Natsuki? Natsuki pokes her head out from behind the closet door. Sorry, didn't mean to scare you. We were in the closet? It would have been a lot more awkward if I didn't say anything. True. Now you want me to... I doubt you want me listening in on your poetry thing. Yeah, thanks for realizing that. Yeah, because personal stuff. Should I let you finish that up then? Oh no, I wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, I just do it whenever it's convenient. You're not interrupting. Where's Monika, by the way? Oh, she's out in the hallway. Huh? Why? Well, just in case she runs into Yuri and she's just waiting outside. Sometimes Yuri's too nervous to come into the club room by herself, so I feel that. Like sometimes if I'm like first or something, I kind of just wait until I see people go in, then I'll go in because I hate being first and I hate being last. So I prefer being in the middle. Oh, geez, Yuri really let things bother her for that long? She can't control her feelings. For some people, it's really hard to cope when you get a bad thought in your head. Maybe you can distract yourself for a little while. But as soon as it's just you and your thoughts again, it comes back. I just want us to have a normal club meeting. It's a lot easier to pretend like it never happened if we're all just ignore it and move on. I don't want to be bothered by this. It's so stupid. Her opinion of me doesn't matter anyway. Besides, it makes me feel really guilty, and I hate that too. See, some people can take it, and then there are some people that can't, and once you start giving off like those bad reaction type of things, it'll like linger in your head. You'll start thinking bad of the person, that sort of thing. Okay, it's okay to have feelings. It doesn't make you weak. Exactly. Let's figure this out together. Fine. Only because you're good at this stuff. Let's try to come up with a happy scene. Maybe that will help us understand where your bad feelings are coming from. Well, I was happy that the way things were before we had to have that conversation yesterday. Part of the conversation made you upset. Was it Yuri being mean about the manga? Maybe, I doubt it though. Because my friends and other people make fun of manga all the time. Yep. But I just brush it off and ignore them. They're her friends, they were bullying you. But something about it really got me this time. And I hate that I'm letting that happen. Maybe it's because like it's part of the club, one of the club members, and you're all like besties at this point. Is it because it came from Yuri? No, why would that matter? I mean, well maybe. I hate that she thinks that she's so much better than me just because she likes to pretend to be all sophisticated. Yeah, that's what it is. These other people decide that they don't like me or manga or whatever, but your ex like she's too good to even give it a chance. I'm sorry, everyone deserves a chance. Yeah, exactly. Would you give Yuri's book a chance? After this? Obviously not. Okay, what about before? What about before this? Well, I would until I get bored, which wouldn't take very long. But if you actually keep an open mind, then it's not hard to realize that a story can be deep and meaningful without being needlessly complicated. I see. But I like Yuri's books. But you like manga more, right? Okay, you gotta, no, stop there. Yuri shakes her head. I like them both, thank you. I like them in different ways, but I like them both. I mean, the manga, it's really honest and fun and easy to just let it go with. The fantasy has a lot to interpret and uncover, and it's really rewarding to have some good quiet time together with it. But the most important thing is that both the manga and the fantasy are true to themselves, so I love them both. And I think there's room for both of them to be in the same club together. And I just feel like maybe they have more in common than you would think. In the end, it's all literature. They all have different meanings behind each word. How do you get along with everyone so well? I always get into fights with people. Like first it was with Monika when I was new to the club, and then it was you, and now it's Yuri. Has it really been everyone already? God damn, I've been going through these stories I haven't realized. And I'm always like, oh, that person is being such a jerk, and if they just realize that, then we could get, or at least get along. But nobody else has this problem. And then you started hating us if we don't write your poems. God damn, you hate everyone. I just keep running away from the reality that everyone is just a jerk to me because nobody likes me. I don't think you're a bad person. And I don't know why. I just don't know how or what to do about it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I hate it. Natsuki. Sori puts a comforting hand on Natsuki's shoulders. It's a definition of a tsundere. You're a wonderful person. You deserve to be loved as much as everyone else. Like, when you go through the main story and then you choose Natsuki's things, and she's like really nice and playful, and she actually gets along with you, compared to like if you wrote about Yuri and she's just straight up hating you. Everyone has different ways they like to communicate, you know, and sometimes they make it harder for us to understand each other. I think that sometimes we get lucky and we make friends who are really good at the same kind of communication. It feels like you magically connect with them. But other times, even if both people are really nice, it's easier for them to misunderstand each other, yes, or to get the communication wrong. It's sometimes that Yuri struggles a lot with too. It can be really hard. It takes a lot of like reflection and self-awareness and vulnerability. I'm bad at that one. Vulnerability. I always have to be the strongest. What do you mean? Tell me about that part of you. Okay, that one I can't relate. Well, it sounds stupid, but I'm really used to people being mean to me. Like my friends, and I guess my dad, like when I don't get good grades, or even stupid things like if my room isn't clean. So what am I gonna do? Cry about it? If I let myself get upset, then it's just letting them win. I'm better than that. I'm better than all of them. So things always have to be everyone else's fault. Feels like if something goes wrong, and there's even a tiny hint that it might be my fault, then I just get really angry, and I find ways to blame everything else instead. Do you see yourself as better than Yuri? If I said that, then I would just sound really full of myself. No. Our thoughts and our feelings are two different things. Even if we don't like our feelings, we have to understand them if we want to learn more about ourselves. That's a part of vulnerability, you know? Accepting that we have feelings that we don't like. So true. I hate that. My feelings make me a bad person, because my feelings just want to tell me that I'm so much better than her. That she's a judgmental know-it-all who's stuck in her edgy phase, and that I'm just way above that garbage. But I'm terrible for feeling that way. You're not terrible, and you are not your feelings. But you are not your feelings. Say that to yourself out loud. I'm ugly and I'm proud. Louder. I'm ugly and I'm fine. I am not my feelings. The way that I like to picture it is that those feelings are like your roommate. You live in the same house and you gotta see each other every day. And even if you can ignore each other most of the time, you're gonna run into each other every now and then. And it's gonna make you feel like poop. So the other option is to get to know each other. You can communicate and learn from each other, and maybe even help each other change for the better. Does that help you understand? You can learn so much from Sayori. She has such like a positive mindset, and also like she's very considerate about like the people she's talking to. Sayori's awesome. I like Sayori. How do you know so much about this stuff? I just have a roommate that can be really hard to get along with, called depression. But you're like the happiest person I know. I am not my feelings. Wow. I want to be a good person like you. Oh, you're a little sweetheart. We're all good people. You, Yuri, and Monika. And I think Yuri will eventually learn that about you. Natsuki remained silent, feeling a little overwhelmed. Despite Sayori's kind reassurance, a complicated mixture of pain and sadness seems to fill her, as though flowing from a wound inside her. Was it a result of her vulnerability? No, it wasn't as though she was inflicted a wound after becoming vulnerable. It was as though she began to rediscover an old wound, one that cannot simply be bandaged and left alone any longer. This is probably my favorite story so far out of all the side stories. Like, I don't think it's supposed to be like that deep, but for me, it actually it feels pretty deep to me. Like, I'm learning a lot here. What are you doing all the way over here? I was looking for you. I mean, it may be a game, but you know, there's still so much you could learn, and like you could try to, you know, put if you're like actually interacting with people, because you know, I'm an introvert. I'm not an extrovert. Why not? Yeah, please don't yell at me. I'm not going to yell at you. Okay, why would you yell at you? I just wanted to say that I'm sorry about what happened yesterday. It was unfair of me to put everyone on the spot like that. Next time I won't just try to jump in and solve everyone's problems. I guess it's a bad habit of mine. You're not mad at me? I thought you were the one mad at me. I was so awful yesterday. Yuri curls up, recalling the details of the argument. I can't even have a normal conversation without saying something wrong and make everyone upset. Hold on, that's not what happened at all. Let's talk about this, okay? Yuri pauses for a second, then manages a nod. Monika takes a seat next to her on the staircase. I'm having a lot of negative thought patterns, and I can't get away from them. What kind of negative thought patterns? Like everyone hates me? Especially Natsuki? Oh, that's terrible. I don't think Natsuki hates you. How do you know? Well, because Monika thinks back to the time that she herself found herself in an altercation with Natsuki. See, that's something I can also relate with. Like, after being in like an argument with someone, all you could think now is like, kind of have bad blood, and it just makes things kind of awkward. I have that same mindset sometimes. Monika turns back to the time that she herself found herself in an altercation with Natsuki, and how a display of maturity from Monika was enough for Natsuki to reevaluate her own feelings as well. I think Natsuki is just naturally defensive. I think she acts mean when she feels the need to protect herself, but you know, she's not really a bad person. In fact, I think she can be really thoughtful and considerate. She just, well, I guess the way it works is that she wants to receive some degree of kindness first before she feels comfortable returning it. Oh, but that means the burden is on me. I don't know how to say things that make people like me. Every time I open my mouth, Yuri shakes her head at herself and tugs on her hair. It's okay, Yuri, you don't need to beat yourself up. I think anyone would like you if they had the chance to get to know you. Well, unfortunately, the opposite is true. That's why I'm not talkative anymore in the first place, because everyone used to think I was weird and talk about me behind my back. That's just what happens when I draw attention to myself. Natsuki even said she found it more respectable when people speak their mind, so I did, and then she hated me anyway. That was enough to confirm my fears. Well, but to be fair, didn't you just run off afterwards? So you didn't really get a chance to see how she really felt. Well, she was also kind of aggressive. I don't know anymore. But Yuri and I like you, and we've gotten to know you a lot by now, right? Yuri doesn't seem to have a response. Hey, what do you think of Natsuki? I don't think about her. That's not what I meant, really. Yeah, how do you feel about her? I was just wondering if you had an opinion of her after yesterday. I do. What is it? Natsuki seems to bring out the worst in me, and I feel really ashamed of it. I like to think of myself as a fairly sophisticated person, so for someone to just treat me like I'm inferior despite my tastes, that's just the worst kind of insult coming from someone like her, and it makes me think bad things about her. But everyone else seems to like her, so the only explanation is that it's me who's doing something wrong again. My feelings about her are wrong, and I'm wrong to get upset over something so childish and inconsequential. No, Yuri, feelings are never wrong. Well, they're not right. That's the thing. Feelings are never wrong, right or wrong, you know? They're just a state of being that we don't always have control over. But that doesn't mean they have to control us. I feel like there's something I learned around when I first started the club. We can hate ourselves for feeling a certain way about this, or we can, you know, just acknowledge that they exist and try to understand them better. I can never be mad at you for just feeling a certain way. It's about how you handle them, and I think working through feelings is a great opportunity for teamwork. Yuri wears a dejected expression. You make it sound so easy. You're so mature and so good with people. I feel like such a child in comparison. Well, I don't think she agrees with her. Oh, Yuri, I'm far from perfect, but these are learned skills. They didn't come naturally to me either. See, since I don't really socialize myself with people, learning these things, or just at least having an idea, it's helpful. It's really hard to like reflect on yourself and separate your feelings from your thoughts. I just want to be a good person. Well, I think it takes a good person to get this far. That's not good enough. I want to be able to communicate it to her. Communicate what? Feelings? How I feel? Okay. How it makes me feel frustrated and upset when she's so negative and dismissive of things that mean so much to me. And but have you tried considering how she felt with what you said? How it reminds me of me? Because I know what it's like to feel misunderstood and angry at everyone. I know that telling yourself you're better than everyone else is just a defense mechanism. We're just people. We're fragile and unstable, but I'm just tired of that getting in the way. I can't stand it when the peace is disturbed like this. Yeah, you can't focus on your reading when the peace is disturbed, right? Because the literature club should be happy for everyone. Monika looks at Yuri in adoration. I feel like Sayori must be rubbing off on me because I really want to hug you now. Go for it. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Hug her. No, I mean, well, if you wanted to, then I wouldn't really mind. So Monika pulls Yuri in a short embrace. You're so gentle, and I love when you communicate your feelings. I feel lucky to get to see that side of you. That's the sign of trust, and I'm sure Natsuki will too. I'm going to write her a letter. Oh, a letter? What a great idea. Yes, writing like a letter or a poem, it's a great way to express yourself. Even like if you're not good with words, you can always just write it down. Just because I'm not good at talking, especially under pressure, I always let my feelings get the best of me, and I forget to say all of the important things, and I say things I don't mean. Well, I think a letter would be wonderful. Such a nice way to communicate. Yuri's face hardens with determination. People don't naturally gravitate towards me like they do for you and Sayori. My personality just isn't suited for that. And I wouldn't want it to be. But something I've learned is that friendship don't always just magically appear out of thin air. For instance, I never would have seen myself making friends with someone like Sayori. We're opposite in a lot of ways, but I'm friends with her because she puts so much effort into understanding me so that we can get along. I think it was the same with you. You both gave me a lot of time and patience, and I wonder if she feels the same way. Natsuki? Yuri nods. I always thought that if I wanted to make more friends, I had to be somebody that I'm not. That there's a type of person or a magical formula I have to follow in order to make someone like me. That's just like me to think that. Always so occupied with myself that I fail to understand other people. Yuri shakes her head. Friendship happens when you think about the other person. When you offer time and effort to understand them, and respect them, and trust that they also want to be a good person. That's what I learned through my observation in the literature club. Observation? Monika is caught by surprise. Yuri has always kept to herself so much that it's so unusual to hear her suddenly talk about the club like this. But Yuri gently smiles to her. You always let me listen to your thoughts about people. Sayori too, and it makes me happy because I learn a lot of things. Yeah, you know what? Like, just listening in, you can learn something. That's so sweet. I had no idea it meant that much to you. Monika never thought much about it, but in the past week, Yuri always seemed to be especially attentive when it came to the problems and concern of others. She really is a great listener, always wanting to listen and learn more about her friends in the club. It's great. It's true, Sayori and Monika are naturally more comfortable with other people and can more easily work through situations of conflict, but that doesn't make them better people. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses and the capacity to improve. The first step towards improving oneself is reflection and self-awareness. It's something that Yuri never gave herself enough credit for, but that Monika could recognize as an incredible trait. And with that, her confidence in the club is restored. Aww. A very shy girl with long pretty hair is wandering the bustling lunchtime hallways, her fists pressed into her collarbone. When she finds the literature club president's classroom, she stands at the door, glancing all around her before peering inside. Monika is sitting and chatting with a group of unknown friends. Yeah, as expected, this was a bad idea after all. Suddenly, Monika glances towards the door, making the girl panic and duck out of sight. Okay, this is Yuri. Before she could regain composure and decide for sure to leave, the classroom door gently opens. Yuri, what a surprise to see you during lunch. I know, that's at first. Yuri speaks her response. She's not reading. Please help me. What? Is everything okay? Yuri shakes her head. I don't know how to write letters. Thank goodness. I thought there was some kind of emergency. Monika briefly glances over her shoulder at her other friends. You want some help? We can go find an empty classroom or something. Is that okay? I feel bad taking you away from your friends. It's totally fine, I promise. We weren't really doing anything. 1 second. Monika trots back into her classroom, says something like, I gotta go, to her friends, then grabs a pen off her desk before returning to Yuri. Okay, let's find somewhere quiet. Yuri nods and follows Monika as the two of them set off. What a homie. That's a true homie over there. How are you today? Huh? Me? Well, yes. Oh my gosh, I was just caught off guard. I'm doing well today, just tired. I never seem to get enough sleep during the week, me neither. How come? Oh no, I think I'm just easily distracted. I get really sucked into things and start neglecting the time. Me too, I do that too. Hey, this classroom is empty, let's go inside. After peering inside, Monika opens a classroom door and the two of them enter, and before it's the literature club. Yuri's moment of relaxation ends. She watches as Monika pulls 2 chairs up the same desk, then obeys as Monika beckons her to take a seat. She stares down at the empty desk. You nervous? I don't want to do this. We don't have to. We can come up with something else. Yuri shakes her head. They could sing a song. It's my chance to do something good. I need to take initiative. Gosh, you must be really determined. I know how hard it is to step out of your comfort zone. I'll be sure to encourage you. Yuri pushes through her anxiety and grabs a handful of lined paper from her notebook. Then she picks up her pen. Aw, look at the two of them, buddies. Hey, you're left-handed, that's neat. That really is. Yeah. Now I don't have to worry about bumping into your arm. Monika playfully rubs her shoulders against Yuri's. Sorry, I'm just being silly, I guess. Anyway, how about we start by listening to different things you want to say to her? Yuri thinks. I feel embarrassed all of a sudden. That's okay. How about some of the things you said to me yesterday? But Never mind, I guess I'll try. Yuri thinks for a moment longer, her tension evident. Then she writes the word reflection. This is about my reflection on our behavior. The key question is why we act like this towards each other, but have been able to separately be friends with Sayori and Monika. That's me! Yes, it is. So, Yuri thinks. I've been able to befriend the two of you because you've taken the time to understand my needs and respect my interests. The same goes for Natsuki too. We started off as pretty hostile to each other because I was so worried about getting what I want, but she just wanted to be respected more than anything else. Once I stopped making it all about me, she was able to do the same. I want to do that too. So what kind of things do you want to do for her? I want to do the same thing for her like I like to receive. I like when people respond positively to the things I talk about and not brush me off. I like it when my feelings are taken seriously. And I like it when you and Sayori trust that I want to be a good person, even when I'm not doing a good job at it. Let's write those things down. Okay, write that down. Yuri writes some things down. I think the most important thing to remember here is that Natsuki is feeling vulnerable, so we should make sure that the letter puts her first. Yes. It's hard when you're feeling hurt, but it never helps to just tell someone all the things that they're doing wrong. Yeah, true. I think first you have to make sure that they know you're ready to respect them and listen to them, and admit the things that you feel when you could do better. And finally, you ask what you would like in return. How does that sound for the structure? It could be 3 paragraphs, 1 for each of those points. I like that. My thoughts were so disorganized, I had no idea how to come up with any of the structure. You're so amazing at these things. Oh, stop. You've done so much more than I have, you know. You spent so much time reflecting and being open-minded. That's the hardest thing anyone to do. All I'm doing is helping you put it on a piece of paper. So I think you're the amazing one. Monika gives Yuri's hand a quick squeeze. But as she lets go, she's caught by surprise when Yuri curls her fingers to hook Monika's hand in place. For a while, they still let that in silence, save for the occasional scratching of Yuri's pen against the paper. Ooh, this is turning quickly into some yaoi, or not yaoi, you know what I mean. Yesterday, you told me something that I'm thinking a lot. What was that? Think about how feelings aren't right or wrong, and that they're just a state of being we need to come to terms with. It made me think about how a person's behavior isn't always just how they decide to be. It always made up of their past experience and their insecurities. I think that helps me see other people as actual people, rather than as insignificant side characters who are out to get me somehow. Is that how you felt about Natsuki? Yuri not. But in reality, everyone is always trying their best and everyone wants to be happy. Monika peers over at Yuri's paper, but to her surprise, Yuri pulls it in closer, partially covering it with her arm. I have to be able to read it to help out, you know. It's okay. My thoughts are a lot more organized now after being able to talk to you about it. Now that I'm actually putting it on paper, I realize I'd really prefer others not to read it. Yuri laughs softly to herself, a rare expression. I'm kind of glad to hear that, actually. I somehow kept finding ways to butt into this whole thing. I've done enough damage, but it's also been so wonderful talking about this. I mean, I always thought you were really smart, but Yuri smiled. I will always be terrible at these things. People are just so incomprehensible to me. I'll never get the hang of being one. But listening to you so much has really helped me make sense of some things. So just don't call it damage, please. Monika gives Yuri a gentle smile. I can't believe I came to this club looking for fantasy geeks and all I got was real friends who value me. Is that a joke? Of course it is. I still can't tell with you. Sorry. No, I love it. Please never change. As you wish. So it really is the MC's fault that everything went downhill. God damn. Yuri glances at the clock. You think about it, and everyone's just so friendly. Did I miss something? No, okay. We're almost out of time. Like, everyone was so fine and friendly until we came along. Will you be able to finish before the end of the day? Probably. But I don't want to come to the club the same day that Natsuki reads it. I am too shy. I can give it to her instead, if you'd like. It's like love letters, except feeling letters. I don't know. Yuri nods. As long as you promise not to read it. Of course I promise. Thank you. Yuri exhales and the two stand up. I'll message you when it's ready. Monika nods. Good luck. I'm here if you need me. Yuri returns a nod and the two depart. Oh, that's it. Oh, I wanted to see the reaction. I get more mail. That side story really was so much more than I expected. There's just one more I gotta do, and I can finally start going through the other crap. Thank you so much for watching this video of DDLC Plus. If you guys did enjoy, why not leave a like, comment, and subscribe? And if you want to join, I have a Discord at the bottom of the description. But thank you so much for watching. My name is Cass. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys all again in the very next video. Goodbye.